Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 69. Right Guardian. Part 1. When asked to take off her clothes, Yusowa's expression didn't change. However, her face turned red in anger. "What are you talking about? Take off those clothes." Rather, it was the executives who were embarrassed with Shikina's bold request. Even if they were elderly, they were still men. And the situation was so weird. The only person who could watch it without diverting her gaze was Hang Yurin. "I don't know who that woman is, but she must be a huge deal." Yusowa was an SS class keeper. And if she was a Murim warrior, she would be a supreme master. Shikina looked over at Yusowa's clothes in a greedy way. "If you don't want to, should I take it off for you?" If a man had said that, it would have been a dangerous situation. The woman approached Yusowa, thinking she could do it. You need to know your place." The fingers of Yusowa twitched. She was ready to use gravity. Drrr. The floor trembled, but Shikina smiled. "Hee, looks like you don't want to take it off." As a fighter, she had no reason to avoid a battle. Purple energy began to rise from her body. Goo. This woman, isn't she just plain crazy? Yusowa narrowed her eyes. Since Chen Yuan brought her, she thought that the woman would be strong, but the woman just kept on ridiculing her. Everyone in the room was nervous. Who is she? What is that energy? As she entered through the glass, they thought Shikina had special abilities, but the energy she was releasing was different. Where the hell did Lord Chun Ma find such a monster? They were all curious about her. Of course, more serious than that, the two women were going to fight each other till death. It was then Chen Yuan opened his mouth. "Enough." "Sorry? Master?" Both answered at the same time. As soon as they heard him, the two women called back their energy. Sigh. The seniors looked curious at Chen Yuan's ability to control the two monstrous women at once. Handling an SS class keeper and a special type entity was like playing with two bombs. "Yusowa, if you have extra clothes, lend them to Shikina." "Yes, sir." She agreed. However, Shikina mumbled while shyly twisting her body. "Master, I like the clothes that the human bitch is wearing. Are you going to try your luck, despite being a slave?" "Ah, no." "Pack." Flustered at Chen Yuan's cold words, Shikina knelt down and lowered her head. She was aware of her position. "Shikina." "Yes. She is the first secretary. So be mindful." "Yes. However, if you give me the chance, I would like to covet the title. Please allow it." "Slave?" Yusowa was confused. She couldn't understand to which era this woman belonged. Moreover, despite bowing to Chen Yuan, the naked woman kept glaring at her. "Grab." Chen Yuan grabbed her on the shoulder. And she groaned at the pain which hit her brain. Crackle. Ack. "I told you not to cross the line." I apologize." Shikina had a different way of thinking from humans. Therefore, Chen Yuan was being more strict towards her. "Treat her like you treat an elder." "Yes." "Ah." Despite not understanding the situation, Yusowa felt grateful when Chen Yuan treated her in a special way. When Chen Yuan took his hand off her, Shikina bowed to Yusowa. "I apologize." As if to let her know that she didn't like it, she looked at Yusowa with a bitter look. And silence fell again. Yusowa smiled and then looked at the woman's breast and said, "My clothes will be baggy to you, but they might fit." Shikina didn't understand what she meant. However, when she left the conference room to get clothes, her face distorted as she looked at Yusowa's voluptuous breasts. Human. Regardless of race, they were both women. and now they were secretaries. Chen Yujing approached Chen Youwen once the two left and reported, "Lord, there is a problem." "Problem?" "Director Huan." Huan Mianlo approached Chen Youwen with a dark face, then showed him the phone and said, "Lord Chen Ma, my daughter has been caught." "Caught?" If it was Huan Xia, then she was supposed to be hiding with Baek Jongso and his mother in the Six Road Toys bunker. Puzzled, Chen Youwen looked at the photo on the phone. The moment he saw the picture, Chen Youwen said, "Crazy blade." There was no way Chen Youwen didn't know about the sword. It was his first teacher's, right guardian Subming's sword. The fact that this person was holding it could only mean one thing. Right guardian? Yes. It seems like the right guardian has joined the Chen Yusong's faction. It was weird. The guardians only serve the Lord. If one of the guardians, Sub Hyung, joined the Chen Yusong faction, then it couldn't be ruled out that the other guardians did so too. This could be trouble for Chen Yujing, as it meant that the guardian found the secret prison where the Lord was being kept with the help of another faction. I can't tell this to Chen Ma. Ugh. He wasn't sure what could happen. He knew that Chen Youwen was very strict when it came to putting someone as the Lord. Thud. At that time, Huan Mianlo knelt down and begged, "Lord Chen Ma, please save my daughter." Director Huan. Chen Yujing panicked. It was understandable that he was impatient and unable to contact his daughter. However, Chen Youwen was Chen Ma, and he couldn't ask someone like him to do such tasks. Even he, who shared the same blood, would only allow himself to receive orders and never request anything. "I am sorry, Chairman." But Huan Mianlo couldn't back down. "Only Chen Ma can free my daughter." It had been over 40 minutes since he got her message. Even if the right guardian took them away, they couldn't have left the city yet. It was their only chance to catch them. "I want to go and rescue my daughter myself, but it will take 2 days for me to get to Shenyang." If he had wings, he would have left right away. And since he didn't, Chen Youwen was his only hope. "Please. Please." Thud. Huan Mianlo banged his head. "Who?" He kept hitting it till he was stopped. "Ah." As he raised his head, hoping for a positive answer, Chen Youwen said, "Be quiet." "Why yes." "Tell me." "Huh? Not you." Huan Mianlo was confused. He had already told him everything. Chen Youwen's eyes were moving. He had opened up augmented reality. Calling Li Mayong. He was talking on the phone. The call was done through the phone of Yumun Pyong, the director of Six Road Toys. Nano had hacked the receiving chip and taken the code. Thanks to that, Chen Youwen was able to make calls without the phone. In his ears, he could hear the voice of Li Mayong. Cough cough. "I'm chasing them right now." On an overpass in Shenyang City. Inside the white RV, which was driving down, Li Mayong was holding the steering wheel with blood-dried hands. His top was stained red with blood, and he didn't seem to be in good condition. Even when he looked like he was on the verge of dying, he wasn't letting go of the wheel. "What happened?" Chen Youwen's voice came through the Bluetooth speaker. Li Mayong looked at the 12-seater gray van, which was 30 meters ahead. "Aha, HAA, unknown people attacked us. Was there anyone who wore sunglasses among them?" Li Mayong was shocked at that question. "Yes." "How did you know?" Huan Xia sent a message to her father. "I see." Cough. "You don't seem to be in a good state." "I got hit by a guy." Grunt. As he said that, Li Mayong grunted. He was out shopping with Baek Jongso. When they returned, they found out that they had been attacked. The people were already done with their work and were leaving. That's when they met and were hit by them. Baek Jongso's team member was hit and died right away. while Moyon Lee Myong was hit in the stomach. He still remembered what he was told. "I see you are a normal civilian. Consider yourself lucky to have come this far. If you are fortunate enough to survive this, forget about everything that has happened. Here." With those words, the man took Hwan Xia and Baek Jong-so's mother and left in a van. However, something happened. Was it luck? When ordinary people are hit with internal energy, their organs rupture and turn unable to move. After coughing up blood several times, Lee Myong was able to move. He himself was shocked. But he decided not to waste time thinking about it. He immediately got into his RV and started chasing them. "For now, I am trying to catch up, but if they get past Shenyang, I won't be able to do anything." That was his concern. The car was moving southwest towards the high-speed underground train. "Keep the call going." Huh? Lee Myong couldn't understand it at all. However, he had no chance but to do as told. Meanwhile, inside the gray Benz going ahead, Baek Jong-so was unable to move due to his blood points being sealed, but he was glaring at Sub-hyung. "You are making a huge mistake. Right, Guardian?" At his words, Sub-hyung didn't seem fazed and said, "Before I hit you more, I expect you to stay silent, pure Kick Clan's kid. Try doing that." The reason Baek Jong-so was angry was simple. It was because he was hit by the right Guardian, whom he trusted. Next to Sub-hyun sat a large man. "You will surely pay for kidnapping my mother and me. Believe this. Understand this. We have a duty to protect the last purebred descendant." "You call this protection?" In the back seat, GM Oyen and Hwan Xia had passed out. It was kidnapping, no matter how you look at it. "Lord Chun Ma won't forgive you." "Huh." At Baek Jong-so's word, the right Guardian snorted. And then he suddenly pressed Baek Jong-so's chest as he spoke in a daunting voice. "You and I can be Chun Ma too, but this so-called purebred couldn't even save his own ass. Do you even have a chance to succeed in following your father's footsteps? I see that you are ignoring the truth." "Truth? How funny. Do you think that we'll believe in the nonsense that the 24th Lord from 1,000 years ago is still alive? Chun Ma will come? Ha ha ha. Those words, you'll regret it." Baek Jong-so warned, but Sub-hyung smiled. "You will regret it. Right, Guardian?" Hearing a voice in his ear, Sub-hyung stopped his words. It was the voice of the driver in the second car. He touched the earphone and said, "What is it?" "Someone is following." "Following? Who is it?" Looking in the mirror, it seems like he is that guy who was left in front of the bunker. "What?" Sub-hyun frowned. He was sure that he had left the man on the verge of death. However, such an ordinary human seemed unshaken and was following them. He definitely wasn't a warrior. It was questionable. However, since the guy was identified, he could just check it later. He pulled down the van's curtain and looked. "Can you lure the vehicle to a visible place?" "All right. I will lure him." The driver of the second car turned away. The road leading to the high-speed train was densely blocked. But since they were driving for 20 minutes now and were getting closer to the wall, the vehicles on the road began to decrease. At that point, there were 2 vans and 1 RV behind them. "Damn it." Moyon Lee Myong, who was tracking them, groaned. Since he fell outside the usual road, something felt strange, and his prediction was correct. They noticed that he was tailing them. What should I do? For his safety, it was right to give up on tailing them. However, Chun Yo-won said that he had to keep following them. It was when he was in thought. Kiek. The van slowed down, and he got stuck behind the slow car. Lee Mayan tried to move to the left lane and speed up, but another van came to the next side. "Damn. I'll be hit." He couldn't move anywhere as he was being sandwiched. And then the car and the van moved ahead, putting Lee Myung in the middle. The driver of the second car smiled. "Caught you." He stepped on the accelerator to hit the RV. It was then. Thuds. Ugh. Something fell in front of the van. A man? Shocked, the driver in the second van tried to drive away, but then the man who landed raised his hand towards the van, and whoom! The front of the van was lifted up. What the hell? Shocked, he ended up pressing on the accelerator and then the brake. As a result, the van turned over. Yuk! Hearing the screams through the earphone, Sub-hyun, who was in the van ahead, shouted. Car 2, what is going on? Baek Jong-so, who was sitting opposite to him, licked his lips and said. Didn't I say that you were going to regret it? What nonsense are you uttering now? Bang! A huge shock with a loud roar. The van ended up stopping right away. Kiek! In an instant, everything turned into a mess. No one knew what was happening. When they looked at the ceiling, they saw footprints engraved on it. Footprints? BRRR. It was then. The ceiling tore open like a piece of paper. Someone was looking down on them. What is this? A young man with a sharp face and pure white eyes. Ko Wang-hyun and Sub-hyun were confused until Baek Jong-so exclaimed loudly. Baek Jong-so of the Pure Kik clan greets Lord Chunma. Chapter 70. Right Guardian. Part 2. The expression of Ko Wang-hyun and Sub-hyun stiffened at the word of Chunma. It was the existence that Baek Jong-so kept talking about. Chunma? Him? As it happened suddenly, Sub-hyun couldn't respond right away, but then he pulled out his sword. Shoo! He immediately jumped at Chun Yo-won, who was standing on the ceiling of the van. His thin blade of light fluttered like a butterfly. Shoo! He used the technique of subjugating the opponent with a series of agile and successive techniques. The most effective ones too. To suppress him at once. The opponent seemed strong since he could stop a moving van, which meant that Sub-hyun had to rely on speed. It was then. Pack. Hook? Sub-hyun was shocked. A strange thing happened before his blade could even fully unfold. No way. His blade was blocked by Chun Yo-won's finger. Instead of cutting down the finger, the sword was trembling, unable to move. I need to pull it out. He tried to retrieve his blade. At that moment, Chun Yo-won grabbed the blade at lightning speed and pulled it away. Weak. Crazy blade. It has been a while since I held this. Chun Yo-won looked down at the sword he caught with a smile. Considering that this era was 1,000 years later, a lot of time must have passed, but the blade was well maintained despite a bit of fading in color. Give me my blade. The biggest shame for a warrior was to lose their weapon. It was an insult. Sub-hyun tried to take back his blade. Whoa! Sub-hyun moved and aimed for Chun Yo-won's wrist, but before he could even attack, the crazy blade was aimed at his neck. Kayak. Huh? The energy around the crazy blade said that it was ready to cut down its own master. Sub-hyun was scared. Everything happened in front of him, but he couldn't really understand it. Slow. Your swordsmanship needs to be faster. How? What do you mean how? Like this. Shoo. The crazy blade in Chun Yo-won's hand started to cause afterimages while moving like a butterfly. Behind the sunglasses, Sub-hyun's eyes were wide. This. However, you still need to pay. Pay? At that moment, the shaking crazy blade brushed Sub-hyun's wrist. Clash. A red line appeared on the wrist. Tack. The wrist, which was cut, fell into the van. The members of the cult inside the van were shocked. Ah. My hand. The right guardian, whose wrist was severed, screamed. How dare you? Ko Wang-hyen, who watched that, raised his huge body with an angry face and blew like a cannon towards the van's ceiling. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Any remaining part of the ceiling was shattered. But it didn't reach him. Ko Wang-hyen frowned. He thought that the young man would have definitely been hit, but only the ceiling broke. He could see that Chen Youan was still floating. Think you can avoid this? Fat. The entire van shook as he jumped up. Ko Wang-hyen jumped into the air and unleashed 3-second strike against Chen Youan. Papa Pack. It concentrated on successive hits to take down the opponent at once. And the power was strong enough to break down a rock of over 5 meters high. You can't avoid this. He aimed for a time when the opponent would have a hard time moving. However, his opponent was Chen Youan. You must be the descendant of Ko Wanger. You have the same body size too. What? Pack. Ugh. Chen Youan held his fist. Five-fist energy with bare hands? The energy used on his fists was the strongest, but the attacked hand was fine, and the one which attacked was trembling. A soft fist. What? Grab. Chen Youan clenched the fist harder. Confused, Ko Wang-hyen tried to pull out, but... Crack. Quack. The bones were crushed. Chen Youan threw Ko Wang-hyen into the middle of the road. Swish. Thud. His body flew down and rolled a couple of times. When his body stopped, he tried to get up, only to cough up a handful of blood. Cough. Despite using his full power, the opponent didn't seem bothered at all. What strength! The right guardian and himself, who were in the top 10 inside the Sky Demon Order, were quickly subdued. This man's strength was beyond their imagination. Descendant of Ko Wanger? A name he heard a lot. It was then. Protect Mr. Ko. Clang. The members of the cult pulled down their swords and came out of the crushed-down vans. A member who seemed like the leader shouted. Sword Demon Formation. 20 warriors, 12 of which were at master level, formed a circle around Chen Youan. Chuck. Sword Demon Formation. Chen Youan's eyes narrowed. Sword Demon Formation. It was something created by the Sword Demon. This was something that was created to deal with 101 warriors. And the examinations were all conducted to measure its efficiency. All the members of the cult were familiar with it. As the number of warriors increased from 12 to 36 to 108, their power would increase, and they would even be able to handle Supreme Master warriors. Ha! The warriors were all terrified. They had just witnessed the defeat of 2 of the strongest people in their cult, so they knew that Chen Youan was a great warrior. But they couldn't back down. So the leader shouted. Sword 3 Airy Formation. The members who spread out in a circle at the same time tried to unfold the swordsmanship towards Chen Youan. Chen Youan shook his head and... Kneel. It was then. Stop. Ko Wang-hyen jumped into the middle. Huh? Manager Ko. Stop everyone. All the members were shocked at his sudden intervention. Ko Wang-hyen asked in a cautious voice. Can I ask one question? Chen Youan didn't say anything. He politely raised his hand and then asked. Grab. How do you know the name Ko Wanger? Ko Wanghul was the 17th head of the Demon Fist clan. It was known to be a high-ranking clan. The clan was reborn when he became one of the 6 swords of the 24th Lord Chen Youan, the demon god. However, it was impossible for anyone other than the said clan to remember such an old name. Chen Youan answered him. He was the first of the 6 swords. He must be your ancestor, right? 6 swords. No other title. However, for the members of the Demon Fist clan, it was a lifetime honor. Hearing that, Ko Wanghian's body trembled. Is it true? When Baek Jongso was talking about it, he was skeptical. Due to the recent video of the Chun Wukyung faction, they were all sensitive to the title of Chun Ma. Please show this lowly member of the cult some proof, Lord Chun Ma. TCH, you only change, depending on what you see. Chen Yowon clicked his tongue. But it wasn't like he couldn't understand it, so he held out his right arm and... Cha-cha-cha. A black wrist guard suddenly appeared and turned into a sword. The black sword which shone displayed the name Sky Demon Sword. Sky Demon Sword. The real Sky Demon Sword. He was the descendant of Ko Wanger, one of the 6 swords. So Ko Wanghian knew that the Sky Demon Sword wasn't just a sword. When he saw it, he cried out. What are you all doing? Bow down. Pack. The cult members knelt down once the order fell. Ko Wanghian, who was the first, shouted. The lowly members of the cult greet the great Sky Demon Order's demon god. Lord Chun Ma. Right Guardian, Sub Hyung, who was holding his severed wrist, couldn't shut his mouth. Is that real? He didn't believe the words till the end. With trembling eyes, he looked at Baek Jongso. The man was sitting in the van smiling. And then he remembered what he said a while back. Truth? How funny. Do you think that we'll believe in the nonsense that the 24th Lord from 1,000 years ago is still alive? Chun Ma will come? Ha ha ha. And he laughed proudly. He also killed Baek Jongso's colleagues and kidnapped his mother, and even Huan Xia. Turning white, Right Guardian mumbled. What have I done? On the eastern side of Baoding City. Inside a tall building. The group's name was written on the wall. The room of the president in the Chunshin building. A middle-aged man with a mustache answered the phone with a serious face and looked out of the window. Yeah. I see. The middle-aged man hung up the phone, and someone asked. President, no, Chairman, is something wrong? No, everything is fine. The middle-aged man with a mustache was the chairman. He turned his head towards the sofa and smiled as he went to take a seat. On the other side sat a man with short hair and a tall appearance. He wore a mask that had a strange pattern on it. I apologize to the guest. Not at all. I am glad to be able to do this with 2 guardians. This is for the unity of the cult. The masked man answered. The chairman, who looked at him, asked. Great Guardian, the date of the ceremony, I think that it needs to be pushed closer. What do you mean? The chairman smiled and said. It seems like a precious guest will come to notarize the ceremony on behalf of my father in prison.